Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
What is happening, my friends? Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day, whether it is politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real, so please do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. Look, on today's conversation, I'm honored to have on Mr. Ricky Twiggs Jr. He is a candidate for mayor of New Orleans, a very packed race, might I ask. I just looked at the full line of folks who are running to be the next mayor of New Orleans, and it is a lot. So I'm excited to have on Ricky Twiggs Jr., who is a native of New Orleans, and just wanted to have him here on the program to share his platform, to also share why should residents consider him to be the next mayor of New Orleans. Again, my friends, it's going to be a great conversation. It's going to be, of course, some informative stuff that we'll pull out of that, as well as hopefully we're going to have fun like we always do here on the Arrington Gavin Show. As always, thank you so much for taking 1 hour of your time to tune in to yet another great episode here. Your boy is still recovering. Yeah, I told you a couple of days ago I had felt the throat getting a little itchy, and I'm like, uh-oh, am I catching something? And sure enough, last show I made it through it though. I made it through. So I'm slowly but surely coming back to life. I was a little groggy earlier. I've been drinking teas galore and just filling myself up with fluids. My wife was getting mad at me because we have like our go-to like favorite fruits. Like I can eat mangoes every day, right? But I will have like bananas, oranges. My wife is more the orange girl. And so she gets like a bag full of oranges, and she knows that's really just for her. I do not touch them. But since your boy's been sick, I've been nagging like 4 at a time. She's like, all right. You're taking, I'm like, I'm trying to live here. Don't you want to see me live? She's like, do you really want me to answer that? I'm like, wow. That's that. But hey, I still love her though. I still love her. But I do have to look back on that life insurance policy. I'm just saying, because after she gave me that, I'm like, wow, dude, really? Anyway. I'm still here, guys. I'm recovering. But I didn't want to miss this conversation at all. So that's why I'm gonna fight through it. Because we're catching now especially in the political scene. And I actually saw this phrase used in Ricky Twiggs' website, the political machine, right? The political machine. And we're always like, the machine. I understand what he's saying, because look, we as voters we're frustrated, right? We're extremely frustrated because promises have not been met. Yet we see so many being made, or so many promises being made during election season and campaign season, but when they're finally in that position, no, it's never met. And we see time and time again, folks get reelected, and it's time for some new leadership, right? And in addition to that, and I guess I'm biased because, hey, I'm an independent guy. I see issues on both sides of the aisle, one more than the other. But at the end of the day, I feel as though this two-party system, man, I mean, it's not working. It's not working because everybody has their own personal agenda, and it's sad, but you have folks in office, not all, but you have a good number of folks that care more about their what's going to benefit them, their own personal gain, rather than the people that they are serving. Because at the end of the day, look, they are a servant, they are a public servant, they're here to serve us, the people. So again, we're going to have a great conversation later on in the program. Before I move forward, always, for those who happen to be streaming us on YouTube, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, Share with a friend, share with fam. I truly appreciate it. We are continuing to grow. Our YouTube channel is growing rapidly, might I ask, with subscribers, excuse me, viewerships as well. We're doing great stuff on our YouTube channel with some other great content shows we're adding on there. In addition to that, you can also stream the Arrington Gavin Show on the Goatverse TV network. It is an independent streaming channel. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, please do so. It is Goatverse TV. Goatverse TV is available in the App Store, Google Play Store, Roku, as well as Amazon Fire. Now, audio, if you just prefer to listen to us via audio, you can do so. We're available on all major podcast platforms. So wherever you listen to your podcast, you can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show. In addition to that, we're also available on the radio airwaves. That's right. Shout out to our listeners who happen to be listening to us right now by way of in the New Orleans area, by way of WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show Monday through Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to move it on to the Metro Atlanta region. You can listen to the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk. So again, you can hear us on the radio airwaves. You can hear us on wherever you listen to your podcast, and then you can also watch us if you prefer to see this pretty face. I know it is pretty. I moisturize. I try to upkeep. It's a lot. It's a lot here. Anyways, y'all. We love to do a fun fact before we get going with our show. So let's go ahead and today's fun fact of the day is: did you know that New Orleans was the first city in the United States to host opera? All right. Now, today, New Orleans is well known for its jazz scene and for being the birthplace of famous musicians like Louis Armstrong, and Buddy Bolden. But few people know that in 1796, the Crescent City became the first place in the United States to document an opera performance. Locals were treated to a performance of Sylvan dating back 1770. It wasn't long before the city became known as the opera capital of North America, but we all know it right now for jazz, right? I love jazz music. I can listen to jazz 24/7. It's peaceful, it's sexy, it's silky. I love jazz music. Now, that was our fun fact of the day. You're welcome. Look, we're going to head to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're having our special guest, Mr. Ricky Twiggs Jr., again, candidate for mayor for the city of New Orleans. Again, you are listening to the Arrington Gavin Show. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story, crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit, and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together, we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs. And we're gonna bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
And we still in traffic.
Don't look familiar, do I?
this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up. Yeah, this that new GoatVerse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of the app he said?
Introducing GoatVerse TV.
GoatVerse, that's what it's called.
The free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store.
Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Order our scented beard oils and beard balms to help you maintain and grow the perfect beard. Order today. Try our men's care products like the full body exfoliating cleansing bars, body wash, smooth stash, and more. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. We're your luxury but affordable men's care line. And remember,
rugged is the new smooth.
All right, family, welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. Thank you for staying with us. As I mentioned earlier, we are on to have a special guest on, Mr. Ricky Twiggs Jr. He is currently running for mayor for the great city of New Orleans. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on our special guest. Ricky, what's going on with you, boss man?
How's it going, Arrington? Doing well, doing well.
Well, look, I'm honored to have you on. Thank you so much for taking the time out your busy schedule for coming here for a conversation here on the show. Look, so much stuff I want to, dissect here and, discuss. But for those in the community that are, don't know too much about you, do you mind just sharing a little bit of background about yourself?
Absolutely. Most people in the community know me as the mental health specialist of the area. So I'm an award-winning licensed professional counselor. I've been practicing since 2017, and I work primarily with teenagers and adolescents throughout the city of New Orleans. And I've been very active within children, young adults, teenagers for a very specific reason. And I feel like they are often forgotten and they're not allowed to have a voice until they're older, and then they're tired and beaten down. So I like being able to give them a voice very early on and to build the confidence, the self-worth, and the self-esteem along the way. Also, before that, though, I was a tech entrepreneur. I worked in various tech industries. I helped start the very first 3D printing company in the state of Louisiana, which was started in New Orleans as well. And I've also helped with bringing solar energy to the city of New Orleans back in 2011, 2012. Helped a Fortune 500 company known as Enphase Energy build out their region in New Orleans. So I've had my hat in a lot of things, It's been fun though.
That's also what it sounds like. You're, hey, all had your hands in a lot. So I take it this task is not too difficult as far as running for mayor. I'm just saying, no, I'm messing with you. But so with all that you have done in the past, and you currently still, advocating for, especially when it comes to mental health in youth, adolescents, which I think is extremely important, because I've always said, to folks, it's up to us to invest in our basically invest now for our tomorrow's future. The children is extremely important. And then on top of that too, we're in a society where it's just, we're coming across these stories involving young kids, whether if it's taking their lives, whether if it's a bullying occurring, whether if it's crime, they're getting younger and younger every day. So I totally understand as far as advocating for youth and showing them that, hey, look, we do care. We do see you. We're not ignoring you. And so I totally agree with what you had just said earlier. Now, where did the idea has politics, or at least running for office, has that always been something that you've thought about pursuing in the past? Did this just come now, or was this something that was installed in you at a young age?
That's a great question. I would honestly say it started right after Hurricane Katrina. I was 12 or 13 when Hurricane Katrina hit, and my family stayed after the storm hit, or while the storm hit. and after too. Eventually we did leave, but it was like maybe a week and a half afterwards. On the return, or before the return home, I remember seeing all the news. The floodwaters have entered the city and just how devastating things were. And I remember feeling very helpless at that time. And as the months ticked by, I noticed one thing that was quite disturbing to me, and that was how our local leaders seemingly had abandoned us. Our state leaders seemingly had abandoned us, and how Washington D.C. seemingly turned their back on us. And they did this in a way that I feel was just disastrous for our city. After Hurricane Katrina hit and those floodwaters broke through, it took them forever to get down here and to provide adequate help. And having stayed, I was a witness to quite a few of the moments of insanity that unfolded in the city of New Orleans. And I honestly feel again that that was a big spark for me to move me in this direction. And it's hard to realize that we are 20 years since that moment and nothing has changed.
Wow. 20 years. Wow.
This is the 20th anniversary that we're coming up on.
Why do you think that, Ricky? Why do you think there has not been any any progression? I mean, any progress, any changes, like you had mentioned, like look, in 20 years we're still seeing same things that, and you think of how many administrations you went through too. So why do you think that?
I think a lot of it has to do with corruption, honestly. And when we start to really dissect a few of the things that have happened since Hurricane Katrina, we notice, for example, why is it that the Sewage and Water Board still can't maintain drainage or drains to be cleared and clean? Why is the Sewage and Water Board always having pumps fail when it barely rains here and the streets begin to flood? Why is flooding such a tremendous problem? And people can default to, yeah, we're below sea level. Of course we are, but so are a lot of other places that don't have the same problems that we are experiencing. And I need people to remember that there are other places that deal with flooding more effectively than we do. And we can be just like them, if not better. And another prime example of this was the city of New Orleans received almost $2 billion in direct stimulus money from FEMA after Hurricane Katrina. And where did that money go? I don't see it in our infrastructure, that the streets have historically been a disaster. I don't see it within our blighted housing that the city owns, or the city buildings the city owns. It's not fixed there. What we do see, though, is dysfunction within the city council and the mayor's office that has made national headlines numerous times. And we also have to remember, too, that it took the city council, the mayor's office, almost 15 years to start spending and allocating that $2 billion plus that we received from the federal government. Why did it take so long to put that money to work? Why are these things take forever to get done? That should be a red flag for everybody. And the politicians that are currently running alongside me, my fellow mayoral candidates, are part of that system. And that, to me, is another big red flag.
Well, what I'm hearing is the passion from you being a resident, like you said, you've witnessed it firsthand, and questions that are being brought from a lot of residents, right? Why hasn't this been met? Why has this issue not been met? Yet we're still, we're paying our taxes, right? We're still this and that and the other, but we're not seeing where those tax dollars are going towards. I want to go back to the you had mentioned about the flood control, the streets, and the drainage. This was an article reported by Axios. Here says residents rank street repairs 37% and drainage drainage and flooding 30% as their top concerns, expecting obviously the next administration to deliver visible improvements. I mean, this to me is like common things that should not have to be a top priority when it comes to an election, yet it is. So with for one, you're one of many candidates running for office, which excuse me, I think and I'm coming all the way from Virginia, here in Virginia. I mean, the largest, I would say, races we've had was, you could maybe be like 6, right? In our recent primary, for at least for lieutenant governor, we had 6 candidates running, and that was a large number. Here, you have you're one of 13 candidates running for mayor. Why do you, and well, I guess you kind of answer that question, because I was going to say, why is it that it's so, so many? Because obviously folks are seeing issues happening, but I look at this list, and you have let's see, you have 2 individuals who are currently in council, currently in this administration. We have a few former elected officials, a person that serves on state senate. I mean, you have a lot of individuals, and it's a variety of folks. We have a variety of independents, a large number of independents, including yourself. You are running as an independent. We have we have some Democrats. We have a handful of Republicans. A very diverse group of individuals. I want to go back to political machine. I mentioned that earlier in the show. I was when I was on your site, and you had mentioned that it's time for a change. It's time to get rid of this political machine. Can you please explain, with that term, what do you mean by political machine?
Absolutely. So New Orleans has a very interesting political system. For over 150 years, one party has dominated the mayoral elections, and that has been the Democratic Party. They have won for 150 plus years straight. That's a insane amount of victories. And the incumbent, every re-election, has never lost. The incumbent has always won. So we have had 8 consecutive years of mayorship rule over the past, 60 years, when more term limits were in place, were put into place. But that's what it's looked like. And that machine has not yielded the results that have been promised. And we don't even have to go back 100 years, where Mayor Berman, had talked about the disasters of the drainage system in New Orleans then. Fast forward 100 years later, things have not changed very much. We're still talking about things that are common sense, that are not getting done. How this has happened is because the system itself is not geared toward helping the people. It is geared toward helping the special interest, the donors, the developers, the out-of-state PACs. All of these things have major influence on the seat of mayor, and they have guided the mayor's vision for a very, very long time. Historically, our mayors either go to DC afterwards when they're finished, or they go to prison. That's what happens. We have to have a mayor that's going to put New Orleans first, that's going to put the people first, above the special interest. My campaign, in my opinion, is the most unique out of the bunch. Not to sound like a typical politician here, but my campaign offers a fresh vision. It is a fresh vision that is different from the rest of the field. And the biggest way, or one of the biggest ways that we are really, in my opinion, dominating with the narrative of the political machine, is that we do not want the seat of mayor to continue after us. We want to be the last mayor of New Orleans and switch to a city council commissioner-based model that allows the communities that have been ignored and neglected to finally have an equal voice at the table, that has been denied to them for far too long.
Wow. That is interesting. I think going back to that political machine, after this recent presidential election, we're seeing a rise of independence, in my opinion. A rise, there's a large number of folks. I believe that the percentage, to be exact, was like a little over 64% of folks will prefer not to vote for a Republican or a Democrat. They're like saying, hey, look, I want to go independent. Yet, excuse me, yet we still see independent voters when it's elections, when it's a voting day, they might lean left or they might lean right, and they still keep that tradition going. And it's like, okay, why is it that these two parties have the power, yet? And I think too, Ricky, we always have to keep the voters accountable to an extent to say that you have power in your vote. Might I ask, how is the voting turnout in New Orleans? Because I know in a lot of communities, voting turnout is still a big issue. People are not getting out to vote, and I mean, some of them have the right, I will say, because you can't say they're not frustrated. They're just saying, okay, I feel like I'm wasting my vote. I'm wasting my time. So why bother? Now, I've always advocated on this show is that your vote is your voice. That is your power. That is your biggest tool. And you have to get out there regardless of, look, I understand it can be difficult, but you have to get out there and vote. And if you don't do so, you will continue to see the same old same, like you've mentioned. 150 years, it's been dominated by one party, and yet no progress. I mean, I go back to the streets is the top priority. The streets, which should be the easy fix when it comes to any city, regardless of the size or what's in the budget. You should always take care, because at the end of the day, that's a hindrance on people's safety, right? That could be a hindrance on their way to work. Oh, I was running late because they got this going on here. Like that's uncalled for.
You're absolutely correct. And one of the things that I want to hit on 2 points really quick. The first one is, you brought up an excellent point about people not voting. And New Orleans has a historically low turnout in the grand scheme of it all. In the 2017 mayoral race, I believe there were less than 85,000 ballots cast.
Wow.
We have 300 or at that time, I think we had maybe 380,000 people that were in the city of New Orleans, which is another big problem. We've lost 100,000 residents since Hurricane Katrina.
Wow.
That's a big number. We're in a
huge number.
crisis right now. We are in a population crisis. Nobody wants to move here. No one that's here really wants to stay, because the opportunities are shrinking, and everything is becoming more and more expensive. Everything is becoming inflated. Inflation is a very real thing here, but we'll get to that in a moment. The reason why people don't vote in the city of New Orleans is because there is really no visible change at all. And when you have one party that has dominated the field for, again, 150 plus years, you're absolutely correct that everyone, that's their voice when you vote. But when that party has that much control, you really don't have a vote. Your vote is almost canceled out by the machine that is present. And a perfect example of this is that I was the first candidate to declare back in May of 2024. We put up a billboard to announce the campaign's launch. And Axios was the first to reach out to us and conduct an interview with us. And so it was public record that I was the first mayoral candidate. The major or traditional news outlets in the city of New Orleans refused to cover us. And then Helena Moreno announces later in 2024, almost at the end of 2024, saying that she's running for mayor. And the news was all over her.
Yeah.
Which, of course, she's a city council member. That makes sense. But I believe people are desperate for something different than the same old politicians that have continued to run our city. And it's not just Helena Moreno, who's a very nice person, by the way. I don't want to demean anyone. That's not what I'm
Mhm.
trying to do. I'm just trying to put things into perspective. You have Helena Moreno, a Democrat. You have Oliver Thomas, Democrat. You have Arthur Hunter, Democrat. Royce Duplessis, Democrat. And they're the ones getting all the airtime despite my campaign being the first one. Also, on top of that, the largest Black uh, publishing company in New Orleans and possibly in Louisiana, Neutral Grounds, conducted a poll that had me at 9% of the vote in the city of New Orleans. That placed me in fourth place.
Wow.
The traditional media refuses to put me on their polls. So when the people turn the TV stations on, guess who they're seeing? The same people. They're only seeing Helena Moreno, Oliver Thomas, Arthur Hunter, and Royce Duplessis, even though I pulled fourth.
And that's extremely frustrating, because the big thing for me is like, be truthful, be honest to the people. Please be honest. Again, I go back to using perfect example of let's just talk about the recent federal on the federal level during the election cycle. So many folks, and really this happens on both sides. It's funny, if I can pull the clip, I would, but there's folks on representing at the time President Joe Biden saying, oh, he's in great health, he's perfectly fine, he's this and that. You have folks representing the current president Donald Trump saying, oh yeah, he's perfectly fine, in great health, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, do they think we're dumb here? Like,
Exactly.
we're seeing this happen in real time, and it's like, why can't you be honest with the people? I use it as an example because I had recently spoken with her name is Donna Charles. She's running for governor for the state of Virginia. She is an independent. She's running as an independent candidate. Same thing. She's having the same issue as far as okay, everybody continues to promote the Democratic nominee and the Republican nominee, but they forget there is another candidate running. Another example, I had interviewed the Libertarian candidate for who's running for president, Chase Oliver. Again, why is it that the traditional media continues to only show two individuals from the right and the left, when there is more? There are other options, and so many folks I just mentioned earlier considers voting third party or considers other alternatives besides Democrat and Republican. So that is extremely frustrating. What you just shared your story, you being the first that announced your campaign, your launch, yet there's no praise or no publicity, but yet a national recognized publication reached out and gave that, provided you the opportunity to share about your launch. I want you mentioned also how the current administration in New Orleans, they can't see eye to eye. Now this is I pulled this up from the Associated Press. City council approves a $10 million top up to settlement funding schools amid a $50 million shortfall. The current Mayor Cottrell vetoed it, leading obviously to another clash over city finances, budgets, you name it. There is no seeing eye to eye. Now, how can, if this is on a national stage right here where I'm reading this on, if people out in the open are seeing that, hey, your council can't see eye to eye, how do they expect the people? How do they expect the residents to continue to say, look, this is my home, I want to stay here? But like you had mentioned, Ricky, 100,000, maybe a little over 100,000 folks has left New Orleans. I mean, that's extremely unfortunate. Going back to the rich history in New Orleans, all the moments I've visited New Orleans, love it, love it, love it. I'm pretty sure I leave about 10 pounds heavier because the food is so great. The music is so great. And New Orleans is, I guess you can consider a tourist city because there's so many folks that will come there to visit. That being said, what's let's talk the issues when it comes to safety. I think safety has always been a huge issue in New Orleans. Now, what does your platform provide as far as that can hopefully change that issue in New Orleans?
You're absolutely correct. Safety, public safety, is something that has not been guaranteed to the residents of this beautiful community. Now, you're going to see a lot of different reports come out recently that crime is at an all-time low currently in the city of New Orleans. I'm not so sure personally, and we have to be aware of just the historical record of how New Orleans has responded to its residents in need. So over the last, let's see, so this is 2025, about 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, there came a report. A report was published saying that there were over 1,000 rape kits that had not been tested. And also, around that time, I want to say this one was maybe 5 years ago, that phone calls that were, this is just an example, that dealt with sexual assault of some kind were actually being downgraded to where the dispatcher would downgrade it, and the police officer or the enforcement agencies wouldn't get there. And this happened quite a lot. And in my opinion, I'm not saying that it's still happening, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was. If I called for 911 support 4 years ago, 3 years ago, what would happen? Nobody would come. That's what happened 3 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago. It took almost an hour. The response time to an incident was over 30 minutes. Now, let's fast forward to 2025, right? We've lost, since that time, about 20,000 residents. That's a lot of people. But let's say something happens to you and you live in the 9th Ward Gentilly area, right? And I've had someone tell me this recently on the campaign trail. They said, Ricky, I called 911. I live in the 9th Ward, called 911 at around 2 a.m. because I saw somebody looking into the windows of cars. And the dispatcher said, it's 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm not coming. We're not sending anyone out there, which is crazy to me.
Wow.
But that is what happens to our residents. And so, in my opinion, we need to have a independent auditor come in to look at how is our response overall in relation to the people truly in need. Because my hunch is that people just aren't calling for help. That's my hunch, is that they're just not utilizing the systems. And if they did, I think we'd have a lot more crime reported. And when people say, well, it's kind of hard to hide like a body or something like that because the murder rate has gone down also. I don't think people truly understand just how little the city has cared for people in general. And also, too, we know that people can easily dispose of other people. We just know that. With the mob was huge here back in the day. There's still people missing cold case wads, you know? So I don't think that just because the stats say that everything is down, I think we need to be very hesitant to that. And all we have to do really is look at Instagram and look at TikTok and see what's really going on. Because I'm telling you, that shows a whole different world than what is being reported.
What? I'm still like, it's the fact that the man's like, hey, it's 1 a.m. I'm not saying anybody. That right there is just kind of, I'm still stuck on that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and that's something that has historically happened here. It's historically happened.
Wow. That is sad. I can't. I mean, that's the first thing I could think of. That is extremely sad. Ricky, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. Do not go anywhere, my friends. We are gonna continue this great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. So look, we'll be right back. We're talking with mayoral candidate Mr. Ricky Twiggs Jr. here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Jazeera Learning Institute, LLC, is a hybrid learning center that strives to educate adults and children in all fields. During the day, we offer programs that are focused on developing students from pre-K to 12th grade, which includes tutoring, homeschool co-op, an after-school program, SAT, ACT prep, and many more engaging academic programs. Our adult education programs include workforce trainings, GED prep, life coaching, various seminars, and many more. Our vision is to train and educate in a positive way that will lead to a positive change in the world, one person at a time. For more information, visit us online at JazeeraLearningInstitute.com or call us at 757-208-7407.
All right, my friends, welcome back. Welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm your guy, Arrington Gavin, here joined with Mr. Ricky Twiggs Jr. He is currently running for mayor for the great city of New Orleans. Ricky, we in the earlier stages of the conversation, we're talking about key issues that are happening in New Orleans that is going to impact this election. We've spoken about how the political machine has been running long term in the city of New Orleans, yet still no changes has ever been met. We've had, there's been promises said that's going to happen, yet it's never been met, and that's extremely unfortunate. Which again can cause a lot of frustration to residents, which it already has. Folks had even said, "Look, I'm done with New Orleans. I'm leaving. I'm not having any more." Some has even said, "Look, why even bother voting?" Which again, you not voting is a win for, sorry, but some candidates, because they're like, okay, look, they're not going to vote. Hey, look, I got this in the bag. So
Yes.
that again, it's the truth though. I mean, it's just, hey, if you don't vote, y'all, and I'm telling you, because I've encountered a lot of folks who it's very easy to complain. We can continue to complain, but you have to vote. If you are complaining and you're not voting, then I personally don't want to hear it. But if you are a person that's still going out there and casting your vote and complaining, look, that is your right, because you have to keep your elected officials held accountable. Ricky, you mentioned earlier that you are an advocate for youth mental health, and I want to discuss your platform involving education and youth in the New Orleans area, because I believe, and let me see if I can gather my notes here. Hold one second, because I was reading it earlier in regards to, let's see here. Okay, so in regards to so in 2023, the New Orleans Public Schools District received a C again. 5 New Orleans charter schools received an F. Now, that was in 2023. I'm not hopefully that had gone up since then, but that was still, that wasn't too far away. Also in New Orleans, only 51% of third graders were proficient readers as of spring of 2024. Ricky, what is that? Let's just talk about this. Why are these numbers occurring in the city? And what, if you in leadership, what would you do to help prevent issues like this happening in the education field?
Arrington, that's a really deep question. And to answer it appropriately, I have to go back in time with you to before Katrina. So before Hurricane Katrina, the school board managed the public school system, right? Now, what was happening a few years before Katrina hit was that charter schools attempted to enter the New Orleans market, and they were rejected, pretty unanimously rejected. Hurricane Katrina hits, and guess what happens? Everybody gets fired. And once that occurs, it opened the door for the charter school system to enter. Whenever we take a public resource and turn it into a private corporate resource, the shift of values changes. It goes from educating the minds to now educating for profit, for numbers. And that is the biggest thing that has happened within our education system here. So the charter schools will tout continuously that we have increased graduation rates. That's wonderful. But that they have decreased illiteracy rates. They have, but it hasn't been dramatic. Like we're talking maybe 1%, 2%. It hasn't been anything of substantial value that I would say is substantial value. It just hasn't hit those numbers. What I am proposing, and I believe I'm the only candidate to propose this, and as you had just mentioned earlier with first of all, what you had mentioned earlier with the school board and the mismanagement of funds there, that's happened quite a lot. It has happened quite a lot. And the people that get hurt are the children, always, all the time. My solution to this problem is to bring back our neighborhood schools, which are anchor points for the community that has been ripped away. In a lot of ways, just as Charity Hospital was the anchor point of the city of New Orleans. Almost everybody was born in that hospital. And then Hurricane Katrina hit, and Charity Hospital gets shut down. It gets fixed up by the U.S. Army, and guess what happens? The state says, nope, I'm not going to do that. We want a new hospital. And they made sure that University Hospital gets created. And in the creation of University Hospital, they had to displace an entire neighborhood in order to build it. When we take things that were public goods, public services, and we change to a privatization model, it damages our community. It damages the soul of our community. It damages the future of our community. So now we have kids who go to school, have to wake up at 5 a.m. sometimes, 5:30 a.m., because the bus has to come pick them up, and it's got to travel all across New Orleans in order to drop them off from school at time. And then afterwards, when you're done with school, you got to wait an hour, the same trip to get back home. The expectations that we have in this system doesn't work. And we have to be very serious with the expectations we have in relation to this system. I've come under a lot of fire from the charter school individuals about this. But my entire philosophy remains true. We've got to get back to the basics of what was making New Orleans function. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't functioning perfectly. We know that. But the thing is that it's functioned. That's the beauty of it all. The way the things are set up now, it's not doing that. We're passing kids that can't read. We're passing kids that can't do math. We're passing kids just to pass them to show that the numbers are going up. What a huge service that is.
Yeah, and that's obviously not helping the youth. I mean, what message are you sending out for them once they enter into the real world? And again, that's an issue we see occurring at a lot of institutions. Not just happening in New Orleans like you mentioned, but I mean this is happening abroad, and it's unfortunate because, and I've said this many times on the show, we are in a society where it's money over morals, and we have lost our moral compass, but we do so much for the almighty dollar, and it's very unfortunate because excuse me, as you mentioned, why are we what messages that send out to the children that are going for a great education? And like you had also said too, it might wasn't the best beforehand, but it was functional. It was a work in progress. Now it's a circus, and it's a lot of work that I know that needs to be done in the area, in the city of New Orleans. Looking at my time, I want to a few more questions I want to ask you in the short time I know we have. I want to talk about mental health and the medical health care reform of your platform. Now, you are mental health advocate. That is your, that is where your true expertise are in. Talk a little more in regards to that, because mental health is something that is continuing to, I mean, how can I word this here? It is continuing to be brought up in a lot of conversations publicly. Like, we're just now in the conversations of it's no such thing as being a man's man, right? That stigma was long,
Yes.
long gone. Mental health in the Black community as well. Mental health happening at a very young age, because again, we've read articles of young teens taking their lives due to either online bullying or bullying happening in the schools. We live in a very digital, social media savvy society. So it's like, okay, if we don't see anything, through our lens, through our cell phones, we want to be like this public figure or that public figure. And if we don't look like that, okay, so much self-doubt, so on and so on. How important for you is the mental health piece of your campaign? How big, how major is that on your for your platform?
It's huge. It's crucial. We're talking about implementing mental health strategies throughout the entire city of New Orleans. Hopefully, if we do win, and one of the areas that we want to hone in on is to create an office of mental health in the city of New Orleans that handles direct access to care, that has a database of all the services throughout the city of New Orleans, and that even offers our own public care system, mental health wise. And one of the best things that I have heard, and this was years ago when I heard this, was that why don't we do something with Charity Hospital? Why don't we actually implement the spirit of charity once again? And so for me, I would love to transform Charity Hospital through a co-op with the major hospitals in the area. Because in my opinion, the hospital system here and the university system owes the city big time in relation to what happened with Charity Hospital. We reopened Charity Hospital as a behavioral health center with variety of wings, a wing for children, an inpatient wing for children, a wing for veterans, a wing for those that are unhoused. And we start to build what we need in this city, and that is connection and care. And the people need to feel that they're not alone. And that's one of the things that I've heard every district that I've been to, from the cutoff in Algiers all the way to New Orleans East, is that we feel isolated. We don't feel part of the community. And I can't blame them. When you go to New Orleans East, there hasn't been a whole lot of support or revitalization efforts there. When you go down to Algiers, it's almost like the sister to the east. They're just kind of outliers. They're forgotten. All the money gets pulled into the tourism industry, which is a very scary thing. But we have got to invest in our people, and we can do that right now if we get serious about mental health, which will decrease crime, which will decrease recidivism within the jail system, which will prevent our children from committing suicide, which will prevent our kids into well, it won't prevent, but it'll grow them into becoming the people that we know that they can be, and that the people that we need them to be. We need future leaders. And that is what we have been lacking in this city for a very long time, is that we're not building children up to be successful. Oh, look, I'm a millennial. We survived Hurricane Katrina, and then we had to deal with the recession, and then we had to deal with COVID. And on top of that, Hurricane Ida shortly after, and now this year, a terrorist attack. My generation, the millennials in New Orleans, are the forgotten generation. We haven't been given our fair share. And I believe that that's not just in New Orleans, but at the national level as well. We have not been given the fair share. We're supposed to be the most prosperous generation in American history. That hasn't happened.
Yeah, and can't forget too, we've also we're living through a second Trump term too. I mean, just you did I said that. I'm sorry, you did you did say, but yeah, that's another thing us millennials are living through. It. We're living through another second term with this guy in office. Ricky, before we end this, I would like to ask you this question.
Sure.
As a, say for example, I'm a resident of New Orleans, or I'll just ask you this: why should New Orleans residents consider you to be the next elected mayor for the city of New Orleans? Why should people consider you out of 12 others?
Absolutely. I think the main thing is that I bring fresh ideas, and I'm also self-funding my campaign. We don't accept donations over $100. I don't go out and solicit donations. I simply go out to talk to the people. Right now, we are developing a massive war chest, not in money, but in people, in volunteers that are helping us knock on doors, go to events, and spread the message of this campaign. We are unbought. I cannot say the same for the other candidates, especially the ones that they are considering to be the top dog candidates. If you look at their donor list, you will see not just DC influence, but you will see Republican and MAGA donations. If these are true Democrats, how can they do that? How is it when it comes down to choosing between the people of New Orleans and choosing between their special interests that might be ideologically opposed, who are they going to pick? It's never the people. It's never the people. We have seen this historically. If the city of New Orleans wants true independent leadership, I am their person, and I am willing to do the work, and I bring a host of fresh ideas to take us out of here and to make sure that everyone truly has a seat at the table.
Well, Ricky, look, I truly enjoyed this conversation. Best of luck to you on your campaign. For those who are watching us right now, I've put up his a website, twigsformayor.com. If you have any information or would like to get in contact, I have his website right up here. Again, that is twigsformayor.com. Ricky, look, my friend, do not go anywhere. I would love to chop it up with you just for a couple minutes after this show. But again, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I truly appreciate this dialogue. I think a couple words that came to my mind just describing just your run is, unity and trust. Like literally, that's the two words that just came to my mind, is bringing the community back together as one, and also bringing back that trust factor so that people will not feel unrecognized, right? For people not to feel ignored. And that's going to be a lot of work for elected officials in the future, because we have a lot of folks that feel ignored. But again, I want to thank you, and don't go anywhere because I'd love to talk with you just for a little bit after this show. So thank you again. Yeah. So my friends, as always, I hope you enjoyed yet another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Look, at the end of the day, many of us feel ignored. And it's up to you, the people. Again, your vote is your voice. If you see an issue, look, you have to hold your elected officials accountable. All right. Look, be sure to tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights, available on all digital streaming platforms as well as on the radio airways. Peace and blessing y'all. Talk to y'all soon for another great episode. I'm out.
That's it for tonight on the Arrington Gavin Show. Thanks for tapping in and keeping the conversation alive. Don't forget, stay connected with us on all platforms. Follow at Arrington Gavin on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X, and subscribe to the official Substack for exclusive takes and deep dives you won't get anywhere else. We're here every weeknight, same time, same energy, same real talk. Until next time, stay bold, stay sharp, and stay true. That's what we do on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace.